please give me a countdown?
All right,
I got a pencil.
start off.
All right, 99, 98.
How about
Shut up.
3, 2, 1 maybe would be helpful.
3, 2.
Did I win a prize?
No, that's John Tyson connecting with us.
I love John Tyson. We're going to
Live
talk about
on
him
air.
tonight on the show.
All
We're going to talk about John.
We are. All right.
Countdown.
All right, 3, 2.
This is the What's Neat This Week podcast for October 14th, 2017, show number 13. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the monthly show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And tonight I've got Daniel Coombs with me, and I've got Michael Budde, and we've got a lot to talk about to squeeze into 20 minutes. And I'm going to start with Daniel, because he's got some pretty neat stuff going on that he did.
All right. Well, let's just start off with something that we had cut out from last podcast, but about a Frisco op session that I attended to two weeks ago. It was on Tuesday night. A guy named John Peluso in Valley Park, Missouri. He models the Frisco Railroad, St. Louis to Springfield, Missouri. So basically, I just ran mainline trains and then some switching ops, and he has down here in the local area here in St. Louis, Valley Park, the old Chrysler plant. Is that what it was out in Valley Park? Okay, yeah. Chrysler plant. He's got that modeled, but think this is way back in the late 50s, so he's post-diesel. A lot of interesting, trains that he had running, and just I had a lot of fun.
It's a neat layout.
Local landmarks, so it's a railroad with a purpose, right?
It is.
It's actually
it is.
doing switching.
And we do switching, so he does all the operations, and then Lindenwood Yard, which is over on West 44 in Webster Groves, that's the main hub of his railroad, although I don't think I got footage of that. But anyways, overall, it was just a fun night. And what was really cool was that we were contained in a room. So he basically shut a part of his layout, like a, swing out section of his layout that had the door to go out and into the basement itself and up the stairs. So it felt like we were contained. And then we had dispatcher on the outside portion, then we were all inside with radios to mock, real simulation of communication between the different crews.
How about that? At least we had talked. That's just Mike. We were going to talk a little bit about. Remember when John Tyson came over here and that tower?
Yeah, Joliet Tower.
Is that what that was?
Yeah,
Joliet Tower.
Yeah.
He said he had mitered and milled out all the cracks between the stonework on this, and I was just blown away at the detail. We covered that in a What's Neat show. Daniel, do you remember what month show that was? When we had
August.
John Tyson.
August 26th. No, that was the one where he showed shrinking the 187 cars.
He had 3 segments.
Well, they were all at the end of last year, August, September, October, I think.
I think the switch tower might have been in February of 6.
Okay.
So those cars that he shrank down, Mike, what were those cars?
Okay, the ones that he's made so far are models that started out as 1/64th scale cars by like Johnny Lightning or Auto World. Auto World is actually the most accurate model, but he's figured out a way to, instead of just resin cast it in the shape in the size that it is, he adds thinner to the mold rubber when he mixes it and lets the mold start to set, and then the thinner evaporating over a certain amount of time shrinks the mold as it cures.
That's amazing. And now that was in video too. Do you remember what year or month? What's Neat video did he shrink
that
cars?
Was August 2016.
So if you check out the August 2016 What's Neat video over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine in the archives on YouTube, you'll be able to see John Tyson shrink these cars. Now I see there's is that an Impala?
Yeah,
the green
there's
car?
a 70 Impala, this green one.
And you did the front and the back of that, and then the station wagon?
Station wagon is a 69 Kingswood Estate, Chevrolet Kingswood Estate wagon with the wood trim on the side. Then the white car is a 67 Bel Air sedan that was shrunk from a police car model. These 1/64th models are sold a lot in toy stores or toy departments. They're pretty easy to find, but they're amazingly accurate. Last one, my personal favorite is 69 Chevelle, because I have one of those myself in real life, and I wanted to make a model of my own.
And these are HS scale models, and
he's
got them tricked out.
Yeah, he's got.
Is this truck his too? Is that blue?
Yeah, that's a modified version of the Motor Max Real Rides 1972 Chevy truck. It was black.
How about that?
But he lengthened the bed from a 6-foot bed, which it was originally. He lengthened it to make it much more common long bed. So,
how about that? Now, in the last 2 podcasts, we talked about the CSX locomotive here from scaletrains.com. Then the Intermountain locomotive, the Tier 4 locomotive, and I've also got an Athearn one here because the reason for that is I got all 3 of them to run perfect together. I sat them on Decoder Pro this week and spent about 3 hours working on them and letting them run around the layout.
You did say you got the recent Decoder Pro software.
Yeah,
well,
I was able to use a speed curve on this, so it worked out beautifully. Stop, scratch the table. We're trying to record this. So the fact is I got these to run together, and they run really great on the layout now together. And I'm going to feature the Intermountain locomotive in the November show. I just finished editing November's What's Neat. I just got that done. I'm so happy to have that.
You did show me some clips, and I'll tell you what, that is some eye candy to look at.
The Intermountain Tier 4s are going to be in November's, and then I'm putting the Scale Train Tier 4 segment. We're going to do a complete overview on Shane Wilson's model over there at scaletrains.com in the December show. So I'm starting to figure out the scheduling on how this is all going to go together.
Let me ask you something. Now that you got these 3 to run together the way you want them to, do they pretty much have to stay as a trio, when you're using?
No, because what I did was I timed the Intermountain and the scaletrains.com, the Loc Sound engines, to run with the Athearn. So those 2 will run with all my Athearns down here.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I noticed, and it's a bit, I don't want to say it's quirky, but the fact is when I hit F8, the Athearn locomotive sound will turn on. And then if I hit F8 again, the Athearn will turn off and the Loc Sound and Intermountain will turn on. So what I've got to do is either function map my throttle so that I can take the Loc Sound decoder and make maybe F8, F5, or consist each locomotive individually with its own number and then consist it on my throttle so I can have all 3 running. It's a fact. It's a weird thing.
It is.
Something I didn't know is I got on the GE website and I looked up a little information on the Tier 4 locomotives, which was a technology that was required by the EPA in 2015 that all locomotives have that. But at the same time, Canada is ordering Tier 3 locomotives, which are the less standard, and I don't know if they can run those in this country or not. But GE's got an outfit called Global Performance Optimization Center, and they created this place in 1997. And what they do is they keep track of 17,000 locomotives that are currently running on railroads in 53 countries. 53 customers in 23 countries. They monitor everything 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So they can tell on their computer screen how your Tier 4 engine is running.
That's the
in
manufacturer,
Atlanta.
right.
And report back immediately, too, so that road crews know what maintenance to do.
That's amazing.
It's something I saw on the website. It's absolutely just blew me away. Something else I want to talk about. I'm going to hog the show here for a few minutes. I looked at the Smithsonian Channel, and they've got a new show called Mighty Trains. I've got satellite TV, so if you get the Smithsonian Channel, and if I'm saying that word correctly.
Smithsonian.
Thank you. The White Pass in Yukon was the last show that I saw, which was, of course, it's narrow gauge, so I loved it. I enjoyed watching it. I had no idea how involved that railroad was with cruise ships. I looked up the website for the show Mighty Trains tonight, so we'd have a screen capture to lead you all to the website so you could find these shows, because I think they've also got the shows available on the internet. But I noticed that Jason from Rapido is going to be on this show. He's part of the documentary that they've done, and you just saw that clip right here because I just showed you the screen capture off of their website. But go check it out, guys. It's a really cool show, and it's not corny. It's actually really a neat show.
What's the name of it again?
It is
Mighty
Trains.
Mighty Trains. Okay.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about anything else, Daniel? You said you were working on some stuff on your layout.
Yes. All right. So on my layout, I have now, since I said I was going to get back on the scenery after the previous 2 years of absence of that, because I had to just go back and rewire my track and lay down my track and all that. But I recently did scenery, and we are going to be showing clips here of it, probably right now. But
it's amazing how this works.
I know. You ought to like it.
I like this. This is a cool creek you're working on. What are you doing, riprap?
I am doing riprap on the sides, and I've taken some old spackling, which was actually quite good. It was pretty good. Like, it wasn't dried up too much, and just add a little bit of water and mix it up with a putty knife. And what I do is then I take the putty knife and I just kind of run the spackling, the drywall spackling up to the sides of the creek. But then what I do, I take some Woodland Scenics Talus rocks, and then I put it into a Woodland Scenics black pigment of earth color into water, so I can get like a black wash. So when that black wash, I pour the rocks into the paint container, it gives that more weathered look, and it also kind of makes the rocks pop out. And with the black paint, it kind of gives that colorization to see all the cracks and crevices you'd see on the real rocks, give it a little bit of weathering texture. And then I poured them out on a paper towel to let them dry overnight. And I came back the next day and I put the rest of the spackling on the sides. And then what I do, I take like a latex glove and then I literally take the rocks out of my hand and just slap it on the spackling. And it worked. I'll tell you what, it's a neat trick. I mean, it's a little bit messy and it got my riverbed all messed up.
It looks good though. It came out nice.
About black though, you got to remind people to start out with a little bit of dye, because once you get them too dark, you can't get them any lighter.
No.
It's better to do lighter,
little bits at a time.
Right, and gradually achieve the tone you want. Because I've got a couple of places where I made that mistake.
December is going to be Turbine month on What's Neat, the way it's starting to line up for our schedule. I've got a bunch of soundtracks videos that I need to make where I need to show the installation of their new Turbine sound system that they've just created in the Tsunami 2 line. And I've got to put it in a 3-piece scale trains turbine, which I'd like to get a hold of number 30. And I'm going to tell you why. Number 30 had different vents on it than the other turbines, the other 29 turbines before that. And the fact that scaletrains.com took one model and just one and got it right is absolutely amazing. Wow. Yeah, I know the photos I just showed you are absolutely amazing on that. I've got to do a slab version of the turbine, which is right here behind me. And then I've got also a veranda turbine that I've got to put the sound in. And evidently all three are just a little bit different sounding according to Soundtrack. So I look forward to shooting these videos for them and then working that into the What's Neat. Because I was supposed to put the Scale Trains, I think we talked about putting that in August. And it kept getting delayed and delayed, as is the scheduling of the show because it's all live.
Actually, I think you said earlier the turbine segment's supposed to be November.
It kept getting put off. Now it's December. It's going to be, I think December is going to be like Toy Month because you're going to get to see all kinds of different new models that are coming out. I got a hold of the gentleman that owns that throttle that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Rail Pro. He's just outside of Chicago. I've invited him down to be on the show. The guy is pretty amazing to talk to on the phone. It's a neat system. I'm going to look forward to maybe getting one on hand that we can work with, and then I promised him after we're done with it, we'll send it back to him.
I did hear he complimented on how well we introduced his system on the last podcast we had.
Yeah, one of his friends got a hold of him on the internet and said, hey, we just heard your name over there in the What's Neat This Week podcast, and they're talking about you. So he found out about it right moments before I actually called him on the phone about Thursday, I think it was. So how about that for that? It's Christmas. I know it's Christmas. Well, September and October around here are Christmas because that's when I get all the jobs done for the manufacturers. For example, in the past, I used to do Bachmann photographs for Christmas, and I included Tyler in one of the photographs where we only set up half of the Christmas tree and decorated just 4 feet down, everything 4 feet down. And it's September, so it's 100 degrees in the room, and I got a roaring fire in the fireplace going. So, and 3,000 watts of lights at the time on him. I did the same type of shot with Anna, which came out really kind of neat. And I've got another segment that I'm going to run this December on the Bachmann photo shoot I did last year on their trolley setup. It's really a neat system. I did a few shots on that, back and forth on the phone. It was some sort of a Thomas Kincaid toy train that was going to come in a set, but it just speaks to the diversity of Bachmann. I know I've said that once before on the show, but if you look at all the stuff that I've done for them in the past, it's not just trains and it's not just one scale. They really brought out the ON30 stuff. It's amazing. And then they came out with that EM1 in HO scale,
which Spectrum line.
It's just an incredible EM1. I shot a video of that, which is my weathering
really
video.
Had a variety
and that
of
was,
stuff to do.
you know what, real
and
quick.
Then the N scale stuff that I did for them. You can't tell when it's N scale or if it's HO. And then the Williams large scale stuff. And back to the trolley, because that's what the Christmas shot's going to be. They've got such a diversity in trolleys. I've shot streetcars and trolleys and I don't even know the names of all of them, to be honest with you, but they've all got their own name. One of them was a large-scale Peter DeWitt. I remember that. And it was such a nice model that it really deserved a realistic setup. So I took it outside and set it up on the side of a street right outside the Masonic Temple up in the city and got a beautiful streetcar shot that you see here. And just doing their work speaks, again, to the diversity of what it is. Now I'm getting ready to do some Athearn Christmas photos. We've got one for them I've got to do one for Model Road Hobbyist Magazine, and all these shots are due November 1st. But remember the Christmas shot that we did for Athearn with that sunrise and
with
snow.
the Z8.
Well, we copied that Robert Frischella picture. And then another thing about the Bachmann stuff, I'm going from Athearn to Bachmann quick, but with Bachmann you can have fun. You could mix Athearn engines with Thomas the tank engine and actually make a really cool photo that makes people smile.
Right.
And all the buildings that they did, the shoe and the engine facility or the hot dog stand. Or how about the Cyclone buildings for the cement plant? I think I shot those things with a sunrise shot. The N-scale stuff, nighttime shots, the trestle in the backyard. I built a 30-foot trestle and did this nighttime G-scale shot for them. It just keeps going and going. But I know the one thing that Mike wanted to talk about tonight is something that we used to both do when we were modeling.
Oh, yeah.
We've got special effects for this segment.
Yeah.
What I've got here is a locomotive that I did when I was a kid. Probably earlier than you, probably. I got to be 14, maybe 15. I didn't
3
have
years
a car
older
yet.
than what I would be today.
Didn't have a drill, didn't have tiny drill bits.
No drill bits.
Right. But you wanted to put those grab irons in.
I wanted to put the grab irons in bad, and I wanted it to look realistic, just like you saw on the pages of Model Railroader magazine back then. And so what did we do?
Held a pin in the candle and
That's how we drilled
made it
our
hot
holes.
enough to,
Before we had pin vices
right.
with drill bits in them, we had a candle, a needle, and a desire.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that. And I'm so glad to still have this locomotive. It's got the diamonds, or in it, the fake diamonds.
Right. Yeah.
Jewels. We used to call those jewels. And look, the Weston Engineer. Who can forget those guys? We had names for them. I don't know where I'm going to go after that. But that was just something that we had to talk about.
You know what? I actually have done the needle and fire trick. I had to do it for some turnout, like pieces of styrene for the turnout throws. One of them was way off my turnout, so I had to think of a way, and it was cut back short. And I'm like, doggone it. I just was looking. I saw it looked like cut a little piece of styrene, and then I used a needle to poke a hole through it because my smallest drill bit that I had was a bit too wide for the little pin I had to put through in order for that turnout throw to work on my layout. So I've used that trick, and it works. Just you got to be quick. It doesn't last in a small needle.
Nick Masney from ITLA Scale Models sent us some more kits. We've got a roof detail top kit here and a shadow box of a warehouse kit, which is kind of interesting. Just some new things from ITLA Scale Models. The one thing Stripe really loves is I started working on the train station over there, and Stripe discovered the box that the ITLA Scale Model comes in. Just the right size for a nap, and I let her sit there. She slept in that box for 3 hours.
I'd like to build this one as a flat. I really
now,
like
this
that.
is a nice kit. You are building this. The York
right.
Industries is his newest kit. This is a pre-production model of it, and all the parts are there. And you should take that home and build that.
ITLA, imagine that laser art. I never knew what the ITLA stood for. So, imagine that laser art.
Okay.
Now, does he only do these laser cut kits, or does he do something else?
I don't know. All the stuff I've seen has been laser cut wood, but the amount of detail on it is phenomenal. Like the bricks showing through the stucco that's flaking off, and the outlines of those stones on the foundation. Pretty amazing.
And if I may say so, didn't Ron Perry build one of them?
Yeah. He's in the show. He's in the show running right now.
November.
No, November. Yeah, he'll be in the show running in 2 weeks. I can't believe it's that far away. Unbelievable. Yeah. Don't forget, folks, that Jeff Otto from Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply is our sponsor. He's a gentleman that makes these beautiful templates for creating pre-hand-laid track. Now, what's the difference between pre-hand-laid track and hand-laying track? Hand-laying track, you glue the ties down to your homosote, you lay the rail one rail at a time. His system, you can place the track anywhere you want it before you glue it down. So it's kind of a neat system. This turnout was built using this jig. So check out his website, ohrtracksupply.com. And Jeff has informed me through my telephone text, if that's what you call that, that he is renting templates, something
That's
new.
a great
Renting.
idea.
Yes, like $40 or $50 a month. You can rent
Right,
this.
because you don't need it forever. You could crank out as many turnouts as you have time for. If you keep it for a month, and then that's better than buying it and then having it sitting around.
I
You know
gotta
what? I would
own
have
every
to agree.
tool. I'd want to own it. I have to own it.
Well, yeah.
I want it. Can I rent to own it? Make the payment. I'll get
Yeah.
Tim Reynolds from Proto 87 Shop sent us some beautiful Amtrak footage of this train running through the field that we saw 3 weeks ago, except for now the field has been picked and it's all cleaned off. It's got some private cars on the front end, 2 New York Central cars, an ATF passenger car, and these gorgeous blue Amtrak cars. What's that about, Daniel? These
That
are
is
nice.
basically, Amtrak California has their own paint scheme. If you look up Amtrak California F59 PHI and you'll look, they got like just a blue color, but these
beautiful.
Superliner cars are different from normal ones, because normal ones you only have one set of doors on both sides for, this city to that city. Because down there in California, I was there 2 years ago, so I got to actually see them run in action down the coast.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I was on the coast and I got to see them run what they call the surf line. I don't know what, I think it's like Los Angeles to somewhere north, or San Francisco. Yeah, it's San Francisco or
Where it
something
runs
like
right
that.
along the beach. Didn't you
many
make a
parts.
model of that, Ken?
Well, anyways. So,
Yeah, oh yeah, San Clemente, California. I did an article in Model Rotor magazine on that, and in fact, I'm going to talk about that in a future show because I want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more. That was a neat setup. He also sent us another video clip of this Amtrak train starting out. What happened was one Amtrak train had just pulled in, and there's 2 parallel sidings right there, and the other one started pulling out. And it started out slow, but what amazed me is you got 13 or 12 cars into the consist. This thing was booking. I mean, in 14 cars, those engines were.
Yeah, they can take off pretty fast.
And how about the
Estimate
3 Broadway Limited passenger cars on the back of
those.
this?
Woo!
California Zephyr.
I never thought that any
Yeah.
of those still existed. Like, don't get what?
Those are
Wasn't that used in
beautiful.
like the 50s and the 40s?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, those are all
pretty much,
private
yeah.
cars, bought and paid for.
Wow.
And
Sure,
I'm
what?
coming to the end of my list. The only last thing I've got to say on this is the log mill diorama got all of its track laid on it. You helped me do that.
Yep,
You put
yep,
in a
we,
Digitrax. what is that?
AR1 auto reverse unit, and we come into we had some polarity issues.
Yeah,
but,
I wired up the trestle backwards,
but
but
there's
I
like,
got it right.
Well,
it all
no,
worked
we got
out.
it right.
Thank
And
you,
It was
yeah.
cool because when we first ran the train, we both looked at each other and said, "Oh, it clicked," and that was just a cool moment there.
It sure did. You know, I could keep going. You know how I did that video last week on my history is I just took pictures and held them in my hand.
Yep.
And I started talking about them. Like I said, the Easy Track ad was created in 2000, and all of a sudden you see me in sunglasses at the Easy Track ad. And then you see the finished product ad. But right before we close the show, I'm going to show you one picture. And this is from a courtroom model that I had built for one of my clients, for one of my attorneys, and it was in 1/1200th scale. And where you're looking at is 2 G-scale guys that are actually running the 1/1200th scale layout. So now I know what happened to the train. They wrecked it, these guys did. See, they're holding a throttle in their hand? That's right, they're standing in the quarry, Florida scenery, layout design. And I think we are at 20 minutes. Did we get there? What do you
missed
got?
one thing.
One more thing.
One more thing with me. All right. So today, it was a day that I went to the St. Louis Live Steamers located in Eureka, Missouri in Kircher Park.
Oh, you got to run a train today.
I did.
Daniel got to run
So-
his first live steam locomotive
Actually,
today.
I ran it before, but that was the first time I ever. So it's basically
Okay.
a live steam club that we have 7.5-inch gauge track, which is literally trains you can ride on, but it's basically a 1.5 inch to the scale. It's not the width of the track, it's the scale equipment down to the proportion. I don't know. But anyway, so we're out in Eureka, Missouri in Kircher Park. We run April to October, I think Saturdays through those months. One Saturday each of
Those
those
engines
months.
are big, man. Those things are
We
sitting
get
there
free train
cooking.
rides. Go on our website, stlouislivesteamers.org, for public run days, which we should have posted up in the next month. But anyway, so today was our members only run. Since I'm a member there, I'm only classified as a junior member, so I can't haul the public. But on this blowdown, what we call the boiler blowdown, where the guys bring their engines and we just have a fun time for a tribute to end of the 2017 season. But I did get to run 2 engines. One was a 460 10-wheeler, a Wabash 713 engine, and that was a nice little engine. But then the next one I got to run, I'm going to call it a big brute, Frisco 4166. And the story on that is the guy who owns it was running the Frisco 1522 steam engine, which is stationed here in St. Louis, Missouri, well, in Kirkwood, Missouri, in the Museum of Transportation off Barrett Station Road. A nice
I got
engine.
pictures of that locomotive sitting up on railroad ties.
But-
And see, just because I said that, now I got to look for them.
Yeah. Well, and so he basically said, "Hey, Daniel, you're going to get some throttle time." And I'm like, "Seriously?" He said, "Don't worry. I'll be sitting behind you to guide through it." But the engine, beautiful. But this thing is like almost the biggest one in our club. I mean, we've got a couple others, but that one, he likes to show up to every run day because he just likes it, and it runs real smooth. In fact, you're going to probably be seeing right now clips of me running it.
They saw them already.
Well,
Yeah.
I
read
read
them
any
all.
train wrecks today on the news, so I guess you did a
No.
good job, huh?
Yeah. No way he would have let me crash it.
Guys, that's everything on both pieces of paper. That's your
right.
paper. That's mine. This is the What's Neat This Week podcast, number 13 for October 14th, 2017. Say that 5 times fast. I'm your host, Ken Patterson. Just remember, guys, this is a great hobby. Let's all enjoy it together. And please leave us some questions on the reader feedback. I think Daniel went through them tonight. We got a lot of great comments. Thank you so much for the kind words. But ask us some questions because it's really cool when you ask them because we can come up with an answer.
Yeah, we need to answer some next time. We
And
didn't do that tonight.
I'll tell you what, I can answer your guys' in my youth perspective of this hobby.
We love your perspective. Every manufacturer would like to climb into your brain. You are a demographic they'd like to know more about, Daniel, and I'm so happy to have you on the show. Guys, we're running 4.5 minutes over time. Thank you very much. Next week, we'll show you show number 14.
All right. See you.
Thank you.